There, I'm Jacqueline Kyle with the Fable Tree. Today we are making a boho houseplant stake, and I made mine out of pastel acrylic and added paint to the engraved part, but you can do it out of whatever you would like. So we're going to start by just making the sort of half circle part for the top. Use your ellipse tool. I'm going to start with a 4" by 4" ellipse. I'm not going to bother with our fill or stroke just yet, but we'll in a minute. And then I'm also going to use a 4" by 2" rectangle. Now that sounds a little strange, right? But we're actually going to use the minus front feature here, and so that's going to be helpful. So you can just select all. You can either click and drag to select or Command A on a Mac, Control A on a PC. We're going to use our align tools. Now, if you don't have this little panel right over here like I do, you can come up and use Object Align and just click that each time. But if you have this panel all set up, that is even easier. You're going to horizontal align center, and then you're going to vertical align bottom. Now, could you just click and drag it? Of course you could. All right, select both of these, come to your Pathfinder panel. If you don't have a Pathfinder panel, Window Pathfinder, okay, we'll bring it up. And I actually have mine stuck over here too. All right, Window Pathfinder, go to minus front, click that, and here we are. Now we have a half circle shape. It has a white fill and it has a black stroke. All right, for now, we're just gonna picture things. I like to have things colored sometimes so that I can picture them design-wise really nicely. So I'm going to put, for now, a beige fill and no stroke, an empty stroke, okay? That will change. This is not the cut version. This is just for visualization purposes. Okay, so now I have basically a 4" wide by 2" tall half circle. I'm gonna use a really narrow rectangle as my stake part. All right, and you can just kind of eyeball this, see what you think looks nicest for yours. And then I want you so once you've got a width that you like, come over here to the width in your properties and just highlight and copy it. All right, now use your select tool, select both of these, and just go ahead and horizontal align center that. Okay. If you'd like, you can go ahead and Pathfinder Unite. Now, why did I have you copy that width? Well, we're going to create a little tiny polygon with 3 sides, so a triangle. And I want you to come over, make sure that your width and height lock is on, and then just paste that width that you copied before, paste it in. All right, it's easier than trying to, click and drag and make it perfect. You can also flip it vertically. All right, now if you don't have this button, you can object, transform, reflect, and do it that way. All right, but I do. So let's zoom into this tiny, tiny triangle. We're just gonna bring it right over here. And if you have your smart guides on, you'll see this little magenta line pop up to show you that it's centered there. Just make sure that it's overlapped the smidgiest, tiniest bit. All right, and that way when you unite, select everything and then unite, it will unite. And you see, I did not have mine overlapped enough. So we're gonna just undo that. How many times did I click it though? That's my question. Many. All right, and zoom in a little more. And yeah, now I can see that it wasn't actually overlapped. So you can do, oh, that's too much. I don't wanna use the arrow key. I just wanna, there we go. Scooch it up a smidge. And now when I unite it, it will actually unite. Okay, so we have our base, and let's say that you decide that it needs to be a little longer. That's okay. All right, what I did was I came up to this direct select tool that allows you to just select certain points, and I just selected part of the stem and the entire triangle, and I'm going to just drag it down a little. Okay, you want to make sure that this stays with that sort of midline guideline popping up, because otherwise it might be kind of off. All right, you want to make sure that it's nice and vertical. Okay, whenever you're happy with the proportions of that, you can, if you'd like, go ahead and switch it to a stroke. Okay, you can. I'm not going to. I still want to keep my visualization. So my plant that is very different gifted me is a Monstera Deliciosa. Please do not quote me on that pronunciation. So I'm going to do a Griffin and Edith font. It's one of my favorite kind of boho-y script fonts. It's hard to find a boho script. But that one does it pretty well. Now, I actually am completely okay with this coming off the edge a little bit. I actually really like that look. So I'm going to make my monstera part quite large so that that really striking T extends off of it. All right, if you hate that and you want yours to be self-contained, that's perfectly fine too. And now I'm going to create my outlines. I'm going to make sure I come over to Pathfinder and Unite. And if you want, you can change the color for visualization purposes. Maybe mine is not going to be orange, let me be clear, but just so that you can see some colors. And then I want a nice simple font for the Deliciosa, and I have no idea if I spelled that right since this is way too tiny to see. I'm going to use Avenir font, and actually I want to come back and do that in all caps. Deliciosa. There we go. Now, resize a little, create my outlines. You can unite it if you need to, but since it's or if you want to, but since it's a script, it's not really required. And I want you to play around with your proportions a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a bit so that I can kind of see it really well. I'm going to make Monstera a little bit bigger. There we go. And my Deliciosa just a tiny bit smaller. Now, I already have planned out, the materials that I'm using. So I know that I'm going to fill this Deliciosa part with white acrylic paint to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. All right, so I am pretty happy with this. I want to go ahead and just kind of take just my text and object group it so that I can then select everything in horizontal align center. Now I'm going to ungroup my text because they're doing different things here, right? So my Monstera, I'm going to copy it and paste it and pull it over here. All right, and this one I'm going to switch to a stroke because it is ready to go. Like that is ready to be cut. I'm going to cut this Monstera from a differently colored piece of acrylic backed with 3M so I don't have to worry about glue later. Now over here I'm keeping this as well, but I want to come object path, offset path, and I want to create just a tiny inset path here and then switch it to a stroke, and I'm going to go ahead and change it to green. Okay, because I typically use a green stroke to indicate to myself that something is a score in the Glowforge. Now, why am I scoring Monstera onto this? Well, I'm using placement lines. Okay, I'm making this. I need to just slow down for a second. Whew. I am making I'm scoring the word monster on here so that I'll know where to glue my cutout acrylic words without having to kind of eyeball it because I am notoriously terrible at that. All right, so now when you select your text, it will select both the inset and the original line. So you need to come up here and object ungroup. All right. Now, if you can zoom in and just select one of these little bits of orange, you can select same fill color, get it all, and just delete. Perfect. All right. Now you have this, which is already set to, we've created our outlines and it's got a fill color set. Okay, so that will engrave. You've got this, which we now need to switch over to a cut. And I'm going to set that to my cut color, and I use black as my cut color. I'm going to do the same thing with this. All right. And then I've got this fill so that I'll know that that engraves later on. Okay. Now, you see all of this sort of extension. You can certainly use the crop tool to cut that off, but I would rather just use this eraser tool and just get it closer to the line. I'm okay with that tiny smidgy bit of waste on the outside of my material. You don't have to be, honestly, if you want to. Let me just show you what you could do also to cut more out. Select your outline shape, copy it, delete it, and just erase even more, and then go edit, paste in place. All right, because you actually don't need every tiny bit of your stroke. Again, it's just a placement guide, right? So we could actually cut it or erase even more if we felt like it, but I think that this is sufficient. That way you don't have any waste on the outside. You have your beautiful score line here to show you where to glue your words down. You have your fill here. I want to just, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but make sure that if you decide to fill your engrave, make sure that you do that before you peel off the masking from your acrylic. All right, so at this point, it's ready to go to the Glowforge. You can certainly put this on a separate piece, this monster, a cutout word. I typically just, load it all in and delete the parts I'm not trying to work on at the moment. All right, make sure you save this as an SVG 1.0 and turn off responsiveness, and you are ready to go.